Welcome, everybody, to episode number 77 of the Christian Geeks Rockcast.
77.
Has a ring to it.
You know, it's almost like you could call a band that or something, like 77.
Maybe. I'm wearing a t-shirt that says that on there.
Well,
see?
What a coinky dink.
I know. If you're watching YouTube, you can see it right now.
That's
yeah,
right.
I decided this will be an appropriate shirt for this episode.
Right. Okay, so here's my question. 77's apostrophe S. Does that mean it's possessive? That's possessive. That's not like plural.
Dude, you are opening up a can of worms right now.
Okay, yeah.
That's a little bit of a hot button topic on the message boards.
Really, is
I'll just say that.
Are you being serious?
Kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's mostly people just are like, what's the deal with the apostrophe? But I think that generally speaking, it's not a thing. Like if you don't, it
doesn't matter.
I mean, yeah, I'm wearing an official 77 shirt and it's got a little upside down triangle where the apostrophe should be, which is the same. If you happen to look at, I just happen to have this album close to me. For no apparent reason.
Yeah.
It's the same upside down triangle that's on this record, which is the self-titled 1987 Island record. But yes, there's a lot of consternation, shall we say. I don't think that it's officially sanctioned by the band anymore.
The apostrophe?
Yes.
The apostrophe. They haven't sanctioned it. They haven't approved it. They could sign an executive order. Could they sign an executive order bringing it back?
I think so.
Mike Rowe.
Yeah.
President Mike Rowe.
Yes. President Rowe. Boy, that's a scary thought. Love you, Mike.
I might actually enjoy that for like a week.
Oh, dude. It's like, it would be... That would probably be a bad idea. I'll just say that.
He'd be jamming out in the White House. He wouldn't have like financial meetings with Elon Musk or something, or he'd be bringing in musicians and they'd be jamming out.
He would jam, but he's
Oval Office.
Mike has a bit of a twisted sense of humor, so it would probably get him in trouble at some point pretty quickly. So
yeah, that's okay.
Maybe it's for the best.
No,
but then again,
look. God has people where they're meant to be, right? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I'm not gonna get political, but let's not look too closely at our current White House. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyway, I completely digress. So yeah, episode 77. So we're going all in with 77s, which is episode 77. The album we're covering is the album The 77s by the band The 77s.
Okay, so here's the thing. There's no apostrophe S on when they spell it out.
Correct.
When they spell it out, is this part of the message board? Is this part of the argument? Is that when they did the self-titled, there's no apostrophe S? Nobody cares. I'm the only one I think who cares at this point. Obviously, this has been...
There are people that care. There are people that care way too much.
I don't care like I don't care as in like it's going to ruin anything for me. It's just I'm curious.
Yeah. But the thing is you kind of come in, you're a 77s fan, but maybe not like to the level that some people are.
No, I am
so
not.
So you kind of see it for what it is. Like some of us are fully in to the point where we just like, I don't even see the apostrophe anymore unless like I'm looking at the Wikipedia page now. It's the space 77S, which is the way God intended because it's like, if you're going to say the 77s, jacket,
right.
Then you would put an apostrophe after the S, not before the S. The 77s is.
Yeah,
this is going to be a weird episode.
No, okay. All right. So before we get into anything else, we are recording this. What day is today? Thursday night, and spring break is starting this weekend. I think both of our wives have the whole week off, right? Doesn't your wife have the whole week off?
Yes.
So both of our wives have the whole week off. Steve's wife is an administrator. I won't say where because that might be too much information for some people. But but so sometimes she works when teachers aren't working, right? That's part of the gig. That's why she gets the big bucks. And so also she's a doctor. That's another reason she gets the big bucks. And therefore, all that to say is spring break, man. Spring break. I can't speak tonight. It's late. I told you, man, it's late.
Very late.
So you guys going anywhere for spring break as a fam?
We are going to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. We're going to go for a couple of days. We're going to maybe go see if Dolly Parton's around anywhere. Yeah. Check out her roller coasters.
Is that what you call them? Is that what you call them now?
Oh my gosh. This is a family show, Brett.
Oh.
Oh my gosh. All right. Back on track.
You can't recover from that. You're having problems.
She has an amusement park called Dollywood.
Right.
And we're going to probably go check out Dollywood one day next week.
Okay. So, in all seriousness about Dolly Parton, her husband of many, many years passed away recently.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually really enjoyed reading about their relationship, to be quite honest, because it seemed like he was just a really supportive, cool guy. And that they were together for a very long time. I'm assuming mostly faithful, I would assume. Like it sounded like they were just a very loving, healthy couple, and that she got to do her thing. And, he didn't cause any drama or didn't cause any whatever crap about anything. It's just, I enjoyed reading about him. I didn't know anything about him. I kind of knew maybe she was married, but anyway, that didn't have anything to do with Christian rock from the 80s. But however, anyway, when you brought up Dollywood, I thought of that. I really enjoyed reading about him.
Yeah, it's like he seems like he was the kind of guy who he was perfectly content to stay behind the scenes, support his wife, let her sort of do the thing. And so that's kind of cool to see.
It's super cool. So yeah,
I do the same thing with my wife.
Yeah, you do.
I just try to stay behind the scenes.
You do. Yeah, so we're going to not Pigeon Forge, but we are going to the mountains. My parents are part owners of a very cool cabin with a great view, and it's just super relaxing. And we've been going there for 18 years. And so my kids, it's a place that the kids can totally relax just getting there because there's nothing they got to figure out. There's, they know how to figure out where anything is. They know where everything is. They know the boundaries. They know the limits. They can just run. The dog loves it, because she can just run.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's just, I usually, I read at least one. So we're going to be there for like 3 days. I might read 2 to 3 books. There was one time we went for a week. I read a book a day.
Wow.
But that's a vacation for me. Now, like that's not a vacation for some people, but for me, that's like, just a great week. So yeah, so that's where we're going.
I may read 2 or 3 chapters of something while I'm in Tennessee. No, it's
like a middle grades book, like a comic book,
a golden book. Yeah. I'm just looking forward to taking a few days off work and just kind of chillaxing because this has been a very busy season at work. So
us too.
I'm just kind of ready for, and I know I'm ready for my wife to take a little time off and it'll actually be the first trip we've taken as a family without Ethan, our college son.
I was going to ask if he was going. That's just the 3.
He's got class. I mean, he came home for his spring break, which was almost a month ago now.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, he came home and he's had his spring break.
Yeah. I was telling Steve before we got on that my my wife suggested bringing a couple of my daughter's friends, especially my oldest has some really close friends that she's known since the 5th grade. So she's in 11th grade now. And I mean, they're already pretty much part of the family. They're the kind of people, they're the kind of kids that when they're here, they're part of the family. We've known them for so long. And so I'm interested to see that dynamic, but I think it'll be an enjoyable thing because there's no internet, right? I mean, it's just going to be them being outside in the fresh air and building a fort or whatever they decide to do. Who knows? But no, we're looking forward to it.
That'll be fun.
All right. So maybe I should wait for news for this, but I went to Chattanooga last weekend.
Okay.
And I have some old man get off my lawn stuff to say. So First of all, I went to McCrae's. I had some time. So like I like to do when I go to the Chattanooga, is I try to go to McCrae's, right?
Or McKay's. Either one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm McCays. Thanks. Sorry.
You always like to put that extra R in there.
Thank you. I think it's apostrophe S too. I'm not sure, but I think.
I'm not going to get into that.
Anyway, and okay. So first of all, the albums are a little better organized this time than last time.
Good.
They didn't have a ton underneath. Like they used to have. Anyway, so I enjoyed perusing, but here's the thing. I don't think we've talked about this on the podcast, but 5, 6, 7-ish years ago, when you went to these places that had used records, they were reasonably priced. Even the ones you wanted that might be somewhat popular. And maybe not super popular. You could be like, oh, $3, $5, $6, you'd be like, oh, that's great. But it's become such a cool thing now that a lot of guys our age, and let's be honest, particularly white guys our age, are enjoying this. So now all the prices have gone up. Now I don't know how much this is on. It's not like eggs necessarily. I mean, I don't know how much inflation's had to do with this, but I think some of it is inflation in the sense of it's become a cool thing to do and more people are shopping for these things and they can charge more, right? And so I only got one record. I had a couple that I pulled out to maybe buy, but I only got one record, which it was actually a treasure. I found a treasure. So when I was in the 3rd grade, which is long ago, at the little private school that I went to, you could go in the back of the class and they had a record player with headphones and they had all these records. That you could listen to stories and you could listen to all sorts. One of the albums was the Xanadu soundtrack. And I listened to that album all the time. It is one of my favorite albums to this day. Great songwriting, great musicianship. Wow. It's so cool, but I don't have it on vinyl. Like I've got the CD and I listen to it on iTunes and the whole thing. They had it. And and it was only like $8. And I was like, yeah, this is happening. I'm getting this. So boom. And then I went to and I had a little extra time, so I went to a different vinyl shop that was like all supposed to be indie or whatever and cool. Well, it was indie and cool, but just not for me. Like it was like all sorts of bands I had never heard of, and they were like almost all new, and they were just super, weird. Not weird, but like young person indie, not like obscure that I would know. So it was very obscure stuff. And anyway, I was a little frustrated by that. But, to each his own, or her.
I think last time I went to McKay's, which I've been to the one in Chattanooga, I think I liked it maybe a little better than the one in Nashville, maybe. But I've been to the one in Nashville more often. And I remember this, especially the last time I went to McKay's, is same thing. Anything that was in like the top racks it was like minimum like $12.
Right.
And so you're flipping through, and it's like I almost got to the point where I was like, I'm going to stop looking, because even if I find something, I'm probably not going to buy it.
I'm not going to spend that much for it.
Yeah, because I mean, and here's my sort of unwritten rule on that. If it is a brand new vinyl re-release Kickstarter from a band I love, I will spend a little more money just because I know it's going to be sealed. It's going to be brand new. If it's used, old, vintage, I'm looking kind of for at least a bit of a deal.
Right.
It doesn't have to be $1, but maybe below 10 is a good deal, because it's like I can't spend $30 for every record in my collection.
Right.
I have to get a few kind of sub $5 records to help balance out the 30 ones. So,
well,
anyway,
and here's part of my thought process when I find these, which is, so I got Xanadu for a very specific reason, but when I see a record like you're talking about that's $15, and this is good and bad probably, but I think I can listen to this for free on iTunes. I can listen to this for free on Apple Music. Not free, but I'm already paying for this.
Right.
And so for me, it's got to be a deal. It's got to be something I really want. Because most of my day, I'm not sitting down listening to records on the record player. I do, but it's not near as much as I do on my phone. I'm driving around or doing whatever. So that also goes through my brain. I'm like, but like you're saying, if it's a band like Sacred Warrior or somebody, or Queensryche that I'm like King's X or someone like I'm in love with, then I'm okay. $25. I don't care. Like brand new or 30 or whatever it is. Like I'll, know, but you're right. Just
I'm the same way, because if I find something, like I can tell you the times in the many years that I've been buying records at record stores, which has been a lot of years. It's like the times when I've found in a used record store an album that was like something that I would be willing to pay a lot of money for is pretty rare.
Right.
Like I've found a King's X record in a record store before, and I bought it. And I was in Austin, Texas one time and found a Michael Knott record, I think, but it was one of the re-releases, but I already had it. So I didn't buy it because I'm not going to pay like $35 for a record I already own, that kind of thing. But anyway.
So the album we're doing tonight, if you guys haven't figured it out, is the 77s. I think we already said it. 77s, self-titled 77s, because it's a 77 and it's from 1987. Yeah, we couldn't get the year to be 77. We couldn't work that out. So we got 87.
I tried.
We tried. Island Records. Was this their second on Island? Or first?
Well, I think it was they call it the Island record, like a lot of people just call it, because it was the one that happened right shortly after Exit Records had signed a distribution agreement.
That's right. Yeah.
And there were a handful of Exit Records that made it onto Island Records, but this one is probably the most notorious, because I think this is the one that was sort of, they put a little bit of oomph behind, and it was supposed to kind of be, this was going to be kind of the big breakout album, and they even put it on some samplers, some Island Records samplers, and started doing a little bit of pushing behind it. Then this other album on Island Records called The Joshua Tree by a little band called U2 came out around the same time, 87, and I think that because of the nature of the relationship between Island Records and Exit Records, it was kind of like, we're just, and I remember Randy Layton, who owned Alternative Records. He was just a wealth of information about this kind of thing. And I looked for it. I couldn't find it where he sort of explained, because he was kind of involved, at least tangentially, in a lot of this. So he had a lot of knowledge of it. But the way that whole thing, distribution deal worked out, I think they basically were kind of like, Yeah, we're gonna really push you two.
Well,
thanks for coming.
Well, to your point, number one, it was U2 who already had hits. They were kind of a proven commodity by that point, even though the Joshua Tree was on another level from the stuff they did before. Not that it was bad. It was just, it's kind of like some of the albums we were doing, talking earlier. It's like if Homeboys was the album from Adam Again, then we would have loved it. But like Dig just takes it to a whole different level. And same thing with U2. Mm-hmm. U2 had some great albums, War and stuff. But Joshua Tree was just such a masterclass. And to your point, Island Records didn't have as much invested in, this band and their brand. And so they were going to share a lot with Exit Records, I'm assuming, along the way. So,
well, I don't know this for a fact, and there's other people that know this way better than I do, but I'm pretty sure that Exit came to the table with a full, the album was done.
Right.
Like, I don't know that Exit had any skin in the game whatsoever, except for distribution and, maybe skimming some money off the top.
You mean Island? You don't think Island had any?
Island. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yep.
Yeah. And so you can definitely tell. So here's my hot take. I've listened to this album before. And we did Sticks and Stones, which is a great album too. My favorite is still Pray Naked, but this, now that I've listened to it a few times over the last week, this might be my second favorite 77s album. This is a really, really strong album, and the production is amazing. It sounds amazing. It's just so much of it, and we'll get into it. It's just Mm-hmm. When you start listening to it a little bit more, you're like, man, I knew it was good, but this is really solid. This is a really solid album. And so, yeah, I'm excited we're doing it today.
Yeah. We'll get into that in just a little bit later, in a few minutes, not later, but in a few minutes. You want to check out some news?
We'll do it. Let's do some news.
Okay. All right. This is a follow-up from last week's episode. We talked a little bit, not last week. Did I say last week? Last episode.
Last week. I
don't know. I've lost track. So I mentioned that I was kind of unsure of how like Intense Records and Refuge Records and all of that stuff, about how that sort of sorted out. Well, our friend Artie Parker reached out to us and gave us a little bit more sort of explanation of it, which I'm going to just read it verbatim from what he said, because I think it's really good info. So Refuge Records was started by Greg Nelson and Ray Nenow. I'm going to call him Nenow because that's the way I've always said it. Nenow and Gavin Morkel ran the Pure Metal brand under Refuge. And of course, Pure Metal sold to Star Song. Also employed by Refuge and Pure Metal was Caesar Kalinowski, who started Intense Records. So you can follow the bouncing ball. So he started Intense Records and Graceland Records. And you might remember Graceland had like PID on it. That was the one. Yeah. That was one of the that I remember from Graceland. Another Refuge employee was Doug Mann, and Doug Mann started REX Records, REX Music. And of course, Pure Metal and REX were both known for less than scrupulous / Christian in their dealings with artists. So Artie's right. I mean, it's like there's some stories there, and there's stories going back to some previous incarnations of Frontline. I don't think that the Christian rock world, like record labels, were always really great to the artists, which is unfortunate.
Right.
Because so much of this music that we celebrate, unfortunately, was sort of riddled with bad business.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I digress on that. But yeah, so that was really good information. Thank you, Artie, for sending that, because I think it was good to be able to cover a lot of that. Okay, so I'm just going to rattle off some news because I know we've got a lot to cover today. Lost Dogs, brand new album.
Wow.
Brand new album coming out. Kickstarter is happening later this month. We'll, of course, be all over that, let you know about it. So that's exciting. It's not the four original members, of course, because Gene Eugene is no longer with us, but you got your Terry Taylor, your Mike Rowe, your Derry Daugherty, and your Steve Hindalong. So, and they've already, I think, pretty much recorded most of it in Oregon. So,
super cool.
So that's really cool. We got today, the day that we're recording is apparently sort of like the 50th anniversary of Daniel Amos. Speaking of Terry Taylor, because they were called Jubal's Last Band, and they were part of the sort of Maranatha music world. And then they officially changed, apparently 50 years ago today, changed over to Daniel Amos. And the rest is history.
The rest is.
Let's see what else we got going on. There was a tourniquet concert in Germany, which looked awesome, and I'm jealous.
Was it Sweden? I thought it was Sweden or something.
Sweden, I don't know.
Somewhere over there.
Sorry, all you European listeners, because
but they had to play very neutral. They had to play very. Oh no, that was Switzerland. That's Switzerland.
But I'm curious about the sort of mystery around: are they tourniquet? Are they Stop the Bleeding?
The band formerly known as Tourniquet. They're just a symbol. They're just a symbol now. They're not. They're just.
Well, they changed their Flood or whatever. Let's see.
Yeah,
I'm going to look on. Yeah, so Flood changed their Facebook page
to Stop the Bleeding.
No, they changed it to Tourniquet, like the Tourniquet logo, but the name or the name of the band on the Facebook page is 3360436. It's a series of numbers. Now, it feels very mysterious to me now, and I've done like zero, like research on this to figure out what's going on, but they're playing very coy with everyone.
So we can since you haven't done research, we can just make it up. We can just concoct.
Absolutely.
We can just concoct whatever we want.
That's what most people do, right? It's kind of our thing. So I'm going to call them Tourniquet, but I'm spelling it differently in my head, so it's not copyright protected.
Yeah.
Okay, so Swirling Eddies, all that stuff is being released through Boone's Overstock, not Overstark. But Let's Spin, Zoom Daddy, Outdoor Elvis, and the Miracle Faith Telethon. All that stuff's getting re-released, which is awesome. And we had a little announcement on April 1st about some trading cards.
People were very excited.
People have been blowing up my DMs about these.
Yeah.
Literally 1 to 2 people have mentioned it to me.
Right.
Blowing it up.
Clamoring, you could say.
And apparently Joel Walker wants us to pay him to take some. So, so the Christian Geeks Rockcast trading cards are coming into, maybe not.
Your imagination. You just have to imagine them.
But just look at the picture. I posted a photo on Instagram. I posted a photo on Facebook and Threads. You can just see it there. It's just, they're great. They're really great.
They're beautiful.
But I have another massive announcement that I teased in a video earlier this week. Massive announcement. But do you have anything else news-wise?
Nah, not really news-wise. I got a couple things just randomly. So I shared it on Christian Metal with Jimmy Sorrells. And by the way, some online magazine, posted his review of last year's Immortal Fest. So anyway, he wrote an article for some online thing and like a review of the Immortal Fest. And so, congratulations to Jimmy. But so as part of my looking around at the European power Christian metal that we talked about, I think on the last episode, right? Mm-hmm. There was like a power metal praise or something. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Scandinavian praise metal. So we're basically there. Let's see if I can find the the name of them, but they are super cool. And essentially, they just do a lot of praise songs, and they just totally rock out metal wise. And so I sent it to you, and I sent it to Jimmy. But one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about it was that one of the songs they did was Via Dolorosa by Sandy Patty. Now, if you don't know who Sandy Patty was, you probably do. So the band is called Scandinavian Metal Praise, and the album it's on Apple Music, Glory and Power Part 1. Now, they have another album that's not on Apple Music. It's on YouTube, and it's pretty rocking too. But Via Dolorosa was a song by Sandy Patty, and my mom loved the Sandy Patty. And she loved the album that had Via Dolorosa on it. And even at the time in the 80s, I thought this would be an amazing power metal song if someone could do this. And these guys did it. It's an amazing version. Highly recommended. And yeah, so that's that. That's not really news. That's just me really enjoying the little things in life.
That is all good, man. It's all good to find things, new things that you didn't know existed, especially if it's metal versions of Sandy Patty songs.
Right.
Down the Via Dolorosa.
And I don't know how much this is news, but I had lunch with one of my close friends who was at one point was probably the best drummer in Atlanta. He's an amazing drummer. And he and I keep kicking around the idea of making an album. And so here's the problem is that it's just I know I've kind of talked about this, but speaking of clamoring, no one's clamoring for me to make an album. So it's not like there's like fans waiting for this to happen.
I am.
Yeah, it's like two. But it would be a total passion project. And so, but we would want to do it as high quality as possible. So those are the struggles right now. Like, how much money should we realistically put into something that probably won't make us any money? But we really would like to do a good job. So we've got a lot of possibilities with it. So I'm just putting that out there. I know people have been very encouraging. I'm trying to remember Jim or Garrett or somebody was trying to encourage me on Facebook about doing it on, just putting it up on Bandcamp or doing some things. And I'm like, it's just, so I know there's options and I really appreciate it. So that's not really news. It's just part of my continued struggle of this would be so fun. And we could put the Christian Geeks, we could do it on the Christian Geeks record label. We could have our own record label, and have not so great financial, whatever stances, like the early Christian, just be like the early Christian rock album record labels. Anyway, no, and then put our trading cards in there, and they would sell like hotcakes.
Heck yeah, man. Well, I would say within the last several months, I have gained experience with like music distribution onto streaming platforms. So I have some experience in that now. So basically I could run a record label.
You could. And I actually believe you could. Like, I'm being totally serious. I believe you could do it, actually. I could make the music. You could run the label.
It's possible. It's possible. Now I'm not, that's no slight on any record label people out there who listen. Because, I mean, recently I talked to Adele Meisenheimer, who is a good friend of mine who runs what's Frontline Records and Broken Records and all that stuff. And she's going to come on the show soonish. And I'm excited to have her on. Cool. But Adele, if you happen to be listening, I could never do what you do. It's just a whole different world. I could run a label that has one artist on it and one album. I can do that. But I have to you mentioned Garrett. I have to give a shout out to Garrett, who is on the Good Patron podcast, a great podcast that sort of covers crowdfunding campaigns, new music, new Christian music, a lot of really cool stuff I've discovered through his podcast, like things I didn't even know existed. Because I'm also a very jaded 50-something-year-old guy who likes to listen to Christian music from the 80s and 90s pretty much exclusively. But he's helped introduce me to music that's being made currently by artists I've never heard of that actually sounds pretty good. So check that out. Anyway, I digress. He put together an AI like silly thing for April Fool's Day.
Yeah,
where apparently
it's pretty funny.
Yeah, Britt and I are we're putting together a Kickstarter campaign working with Low Fidelity Records, which I love those guys, or that guy. But apparently, we're putting together a re-release of the Sunseed album featuring Jesus is a Friend of Mine. So if you see that
remastered,
it's not happening.
You should definitely check out his
silly stuff.
His silly April Fool's thing. Yeah, it was good stuff. All right, so what's your announcement?
Big announcement.
Big.
This is massive. So we've talked a lot about this in the past, up till recently. We've talked about merch. And so Britt came to me with an idea and was talking to me about, hey, what about this platform? And because it was a platform for getting merch out there that doesn't require us to put forth a huge investment in,
or any investment, really. It's print on demand. It's like a print on demand thing.
Yeah. So, we had to invest time in like doing some design stuff, but we didn't have to put money into it, which is great because, we don't have any, which is why we want to do merch in the first place. But the thing about it is like, we don't put a lot of money into it, but you're going to, if you purchase anything from our merch store, we'll obviously get a cut of that, but the cut is like smaller because they have to, fund the print on demand aspect of it. And speaking of the 77s, it's actually the same platform they use for their merch. So it's called Threadless. But anyway, so we're pretty excited. We got a store up. If you want to find it, you can go to our website, geeksrockcast.com, geeksrockcast.com. And I've got a merch link up at the top. So check that out. But we have t-shirts. We have some coffee mugs. If you're on YouTube,
this is so good. I love that.
It's a cassette spine coffee mug. So basically, we've got a bunch of different cassettes, some Striper, Petra, Sacred Warrior, Baron Cross.
That's the metal one. So we're gonna we got two mugs. This is the heavy metal one.
It's metal and hard rock, sort of, and then we have one that's a little more alternative and rock that has like 77s and Dead Artist Syndrome and some stuff like that on it. But these to me are kind of one of the coolest things. We've got another shirt taking a tip from, or a hat tip to Electric Jesus, where we just list a boatload of bands on the back. I call it your favorite band, but it's just got our logo on the front and then just a massive list of bands on the back, or artists. And then we got one that says, "But is it metal?"
I'm surprised you haven't asked me when I talk about the album I'm going to do, but is it metal? I'm surprised.
Is it metal?
I haven't. I'm surprised you haven't asked that.
So you can actually get, I think, a throw pillow with "But is it metal" on it if you want.
Yeah.
And then we got some logo stuff. We got a stacked logo version and then the circular logo.
I definitely want to get the dad hat. That's another one I want to get. That looks cool.
Yeah. So anyway, go check it out. Surf around. If you get to the homepage, there's like a list. There's like a row of like bestsellers. I can tell you that if you go like as soon as you hear this, the bestsellers are probably just what I bought because I bought some stuff.
Right.
So I've got this mug, and then I've got a couple of t-shirts on the way that I was hoping would be here by now, but they're coming on Monday. So once I get those, I'll post them on social so you can see them. But there's a bunch of different like tri-blend and soft and regular, there's several different shirt options. So, and we got some hoodies and some jackets and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Me too. I will make money off of myself. Basically, that's what's about to happen. I'll spend $20 and make $2. So no, yeah,
that's what happens.
But yeah, anyway, so I'm excited.
So just kind of, I mean, there's no requirement. Obviously, we don't. If you don't buy anything, I don't think any less of you. But if you want to support the show, this is a good way to do it. So that's it. Merch store. We'll once the episode goes out, we'll do a lot more sort of pushing out information on it to the socials and stuff. But the link is already there. The link has actually been there for like a week. But I was waiting to see if anybody found it, but I don't think anybody's found it yet. But that's fine. I'm not hurt. Wow. No. I'm all right. All right. Ready to get into this album?
Let's 77s? Do it. 77s.
All right.
77s, apostrophe and non-apostrophe, both in the same title. And
oh, yes.
So we kind of already talked about this. And this is the third 77s album that we've done. And they've all been great. And this was the second one with Aaron Smith on it. So it's kind of had the original guys, Micro and Mark and Jan or Jan. Mm-hmm. Is it Jan or Jan?
I think it's Jan.
I think it's Jan. And then, man, I'm listening to this album and still I'm like, gosh, Aaron Smith is so good. Like this, he's just starts, and he's not doing, sometimes he does some complicated stuff, but most of the time he's just playing and it's just so good. So there were some hints of some Jacob's Trouble on here. I know they were not influenced by Jacob's Trouble, but it's kind of in that same sort of alternative rock, pop, musicianship sort of stuff. You already talked about the Joshua Tree sort of connection, but yeah, like I said, man, it's just such a really good album. So I'm excited to get into it.
I have a confession to make. I am a massive 77s fan. They're easily one of my top 3 bands.
What?
It's true. It's true.
Man.
And I have 2, I believe I at least used to have the cassette of this. I don't know if I do, but I definitely have 2 different versions of the vinyl and 1 version of the CD. But that's not the confession I'm making. The confession I'm making is I didn't really get into the 77s until this album.
Interesting.
So, but then I got into this album and I recall one time on a youth trip with my church, someone asking me if I wanted a cassette of All Fall Down, which is the album just before this.
Right.
And I'm telling them like, heck no.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, I don't want that. Cause I was into like hard rock and stuff at the time. The sort of new wave stuff wasn't really my thing, and they were a little more new wave. And so, but to be real, I had never really given it a chance, honestly. And I would say my musical palette was not super sophisticated at that time. Some may argue that it's still not sophisticated, but that's okay. I'll take that. But so when this album came out, I think part of what got me into it was it's, hey, this is because I was living the life that we lived. Anything that sort of had tentacles into secular music, that it was secular, but anything that sort of was making waves in the secular part, it always got my attention. So like Stryper, of course, even Amy Grant to some degree, some of those guys, but like this was on Island Records, which I was a big U2 fan at the time. And so it's like, okay, I'll check this out. This sounds like it could be pretty good. So of course I checked it out, thought it was fantastic. Then I kind of got back into some of the older stuff and gave it a chance and realized that's actually really good too. Ping Pong Over the Abyss is not my favorite by them, but All Fall Down to me is solid.
Yeah.
But this one was even a step beyond that. And in my opinion, Sticks and Stones was even a step beyond this. But still, this is just top to bottom, just a solid album. And it's like, it's got so many variations of style and substance to it and lyrical depth. And just, there's so much on display there that it's really it's a fun listen. Like I listened to it today, and because I've listened to it recently, but I listened again today all the way through on the way home, and literally I could laugh ended as I got to my driveway. It was perfect.
Boom.
Perfect.
Boom.
To me it's a classic album, and to all my 77s all my 77s friends who listen, especially one particular one, and you know who you are, Dennis. We're probably not going to do 88 for episode 88. I've got to draw the line somewhere because I'm getting a little pressure to do the album 88 on episode 88, but we might have to let some other bands. I'll acknowledge it. How about that? I'll acknowledge. So,
all right. Yeah, so like we were talking about before we got on, I was like, we've talked about the 77s a lot, so we're probably just going to go ahead and just get into the music, if that's cool with everybody. And we'll just get into the album. And the first song, wait a minute, artwork. I forgot this time. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
The artwork to me is iconic. It's like that black. I mean, if you know anything about color theory, first of all, yellow and black together are like the two, like when you put those together, that's like the most sort of visible color combination. That's why yield signs are yellow and black. So when you have a black and white photo with yellow giant 77s at the top, you can see this from like 100 yards away and you know what it is. That's why my shirt is very visible. See? So
I do.
It's iconic, but then it's like, so first of all, the design and and Mike with his shaggy hair and he's in motion kind of blurred. And then you see the band, it's a little bit blurry, but then the red drum head with the 77s on it, which I have a turntable mat that looks just like this.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah. And all the songs listed at the bottom. I mean, to me, this is just a classic.
I'm going to go on record to say, I don't know if I would always like it, but I kind of liked the songs listed on the bottom there. I don't know that they had that on the tape or the CD, but I'd like it.
It's on the CD.
That's on the CD.
I can't imagine it's on the tape. I don't know.
Yeah, but I remember liking that.
The other thing I like about it too is the discussion down here about the exit new orthophonic high fidelity recording. It is distinguished by these characteristics: complete frequency range, ideal dynamic range plus clarity and brilliance, constant fidelity from outside to inside of record, and improved quiet surfaces. And if you look at Sticks and Stones, they have riffed on this forever. Like the Beware the Blunted Needle, all that kind of stuff, which is right here. Anyway, it's just kind of fun. It's fun. But yeah, I love the record. I love the sleeve. I love it all. I might be biased and I'm probably slightly brainwashed, but I love it.
Well, that's Mike Rowe's goal, I think. Let's do brainwash.
He did it.
He did it. Good job.
Way to go, Mike.
World's best cup of coffee. All right. Ready for the first song?
Let's go.
This is Do It for Love.
All those things you said when you were tired of living.
Okay, this is an amazing song. The you can probably tell me I think it was the guitar player and some Griffith guy wrote this. So
that Griffith guy is the Steve Griffith from Vector.
Steve Griffith. And so yeah, it is an amazing song, and I had to write down that, because I was really getting into this album. I was like, I actually added this to my main playlist. Like this was a playlist song. It was just everything about this song just works, and it's got a hooky chorus, and it's sort of like it's not generic, but it's sort of that positive, try again, don't give up on your dreams sort of, but it's not cheesy about it. I don't think it is. And so I dig it. Great song.
Yeah, no, it's a classic song, a classic opener to me. Like, I think that there's better mixed versions of this song, but like, I feel like there's and I should have done my homework on this, but I think there's a version like later on, that's either like a B-side. Let me just tell you, if you follow the 77s closely, there's probably 5 different released versions of every song.
Oh, right. Yeah.
This record and the next record, and live versions and different alternate mixes and things like that. But songwriting wise and recording wise too, it's good. I mean, it's a great lead song.
I totally agree. Yeah, totally dig it. All right. You ready for numero dos?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This one is called Can't Get Over It.
You say you're sorry, I can't get over it. I said I forgive you, I can't get over it. You say you learn from this mistake, I can't get over it. I should be giving you a break, but I can't. We put it behind us now, I can't get over it. Nothing left to remind us now, I can't get over it. They say the time heals every wound, I can't get over it. You thought the worst was over soon, I can't get over it. You need somebody who can get over it. You need somebody who can get over it.
Pretty cool song.
Yeah, this song was co-written by Dave Linhart, who is from the Atlanta area, but also was not a member of the 77s at the time, but later on became a guitar player in the 77s.
Yeah.
I think at this time he was a guitar student of Mike Rowe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I know he was a student. And he was at the, were you at the Jacob's Trouble show?
Oh, yeah. Well, way back when. Yeah, a few years ago, out in the middle of nowhere.
He was there, I think.
Okay.
But anyway.
Yeah, so it's very interesting lyrics and very interesting sort of concept about the difficulty of forgiveness, about truly forgiving somebody and actually getting over it. And then, so it's got a couple of verses on that, and then a verse about forgiving himself and how we need someone who can actually get over it, who can forgive and actually forget. And so it's kind of like a backdoor way to talk about the forgiveness of God, right? Like, this is what we need. And melodies are pretty good overall, but it's just a very interesting song. There's some time signature stuff that's really cool that they do in the chorus that makes it really interesting. And yeah, I dig it.
Yeah, it gives me a little, because Dave was very involved, I think, in the songwriting for like Pray Naked and Drowning with Land Inside, because he was part of that era of the band. You can hear a little bit of that in here, like his, and I think he and Mike worked pretty well together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I like this song. I love the guitar work.
Yes.
It's just like and this kind of goes without saying. So I'll kind of put a blanket statement on the album is, number one, the lyrical depth of the album is incredible. Like there's so much reading between the lines you can do, because there's a lot of this album that is talking about faith in a way that is not overt. It's like, and to me, that was a brilliant sort of line. Some bands got chastised for it in the Christian marketplace, because you should be evangelizing, you should be up front. And then some people were like, you know what, we don't want the door slammed in our face. And so I think that was kind of, and that's always been Mike's kind of deal. Like he's never been overly evangelistic, but he's always been faithful. So, but then musically, again, this is classic 77s, where it's just constant sort of in and out of different sounds and melodies and really complicated guitar riffs over bass and drums that all sort of weave together in a tapestry that's just really amazing. So anyway, that's kind of a blanket statement over everything. So I won't say that again, but
this one it starts off a little haunting. It's got a great bass. I like the bass sound. I mean, it's not my bass sound, but I like this bass sound. I like it for what they do. The song is a little more new wave-ish to me in what it is, but it's just great musicianship. There's a cool breakdown towards the end, and it's just good tune. All right, what was in that letter? That's the name of the song. I'm not saying, you have.
Are you asking the question? Or?
No. I'm just.
It's amazing.
I like that riff. I'm not saying this is what happened. But it's almost like the 77s heard Adam again with John Knox and said, we have to get a kick butt drummer too. And they just went out and did it. I don't know. I'm not saying that's what happened. But it's just, he's so good. Like even simple, you're like, oh my gosh, he's great. Like he's just playing a basic beat, but it's so good. And then, but he doesn't throw in too much. So sometimes he'll do a little fill or whatever. And it's, it's just so good. But it's a great little song, man. It's only 3 minutes long. It's really short, but it's in and out, but it's good.
Yes, indeed. Well, the timing doesn't work out for your John Knox comparison, but I get it.
Maybe the opposite. Maybe it happened the other way.
I'm telling you. I mean, I still like. Okay, I'm gonna side. You got me sidetracked. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
The entire concert of this Adam Again 1991 Cornerstone show is on YouTube.
Oh, okay. I might have to. Have to look.
That was the first time I saw them, and it blew my mind. It blew my mind.
Yeah.
So I watched about 30 minutes of it the other night when I should have been sleeping, and it's weird because I was just like, I was imagining the place of, okay, the 20-year-old kid at Cornerstone watching this show. I knew Adam again. I was familiar with him. I liked him, but I had never seen a live band do what they did anyway. So, and a lot of that had to do with John Knox. That dude was ridiculous. Yeah. But again, I'm going to digress a lot in this episode. So Aaron Smith is incredible drummer. By this point, he had been in the Temptations. He had been in Romeo Void. He was very well established, and so he brought so much to the table. He wasn't like super flashy, but he was just solid, just completely solid.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about some of the, not as much from the 80s, but definitely when you got it a little bit into the 90s, some of the alternative music scene, sometimes it was cool, but sometimes the drums got too busy for me. And sometimes it was cool, but sometimes it was just over the top. It was just like, So I that's why I love Adam again, and then the 77s and some of these guys. It was like they just held down a groove, but they could still do some really cool, interesting fills and stuff like that. But yeah, this is a great. I cut it off or I faded it out, but there was a cool solo after the first chorus, which I thought was really interesting. And most of the time, I like it when a song has different lyrics for different choruses, and this song has that. And I thought I think it's because you still got the melody of a hook, and you're returning to the melody, but sometimes you're saying something different, right? And you're just kind of. And a good lyricist can say something different, and that's part of who the 77s are. So, And is it about the Bible?
Yeah.
I mean, I would assume so, but
But again, this is one of those things of like, it's that sort of like, am I singing about my girlfriend or am I singing about Jesus? Am I singing about a love letter or am I singing about the love letter?
Ooh, yeah. That's what I figured, but you know. It doesn't, ultimately matter. It doesn't make it a better or worse song. It's just,
to me, it's again, one of those things of good art. You can sort of interpret what you want to out of it. It's not like so overtly in your face. And there's time and place for that, worship service, worship music, that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
But this, I think it's great.
All right. Pearls Before Swine, number 4.
Epic jam.
Oh, this is a jam song.
He put it out. It meant nothing in the world to him, so he put it out. His hunger needed some attention, so he laid it out. Swapped it all for a bowl of pork and beans, and he got put out. Left the poor by a man of means. Here we go. To sell your soul, you gave it away. He saw you sold it to you, couldn't get it back again. Yes, he put it out. He put the heat on, she got too hot, so she put it out. Gives him a little, she's giving him a lot. She lays it out. She's showing all the prized possessions to him. She's putting out, swapping everything for what he's.
Yeah, that's the second verse, right? About Tamar?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so the first verse goes into Esau, and then the second verse goes into Tamar, which I'm assuming is the Tamar from Judah, who she was the one who pretended to be a prostitute, the whole story there. Mm-hmm. It's got it's more bluesy, and just, I like it. It's a cool song, but I wanted it to go somewhere. Like, I wanted it to go a little bit farther somewhere. But it's a jam song, and there's some really interesting lyrics, which is, part of why I kind of went into the second verse, where he says the words, "She's putting out," and then he says, "Everything what he's putting in," and I'm like, whoa, somebody let that through. I guess that's. Anyway,
it's scriptural, man.
It is, for sure. Yes. So anyway, I thought the idea of the song, I love the Veil of Ashes stuff at the end. I thought that was kind of jam out, and it's just really sort of, it's got some good energy to it. But yeah, it's a cool song.
It reminds me of the Garrett Godfrey, the album that he mentioned about the Slugs and Bugs, like Song of Solomon album.
Sure.
Very similar, but yeah, to me, it's just like a jam band song. So like, if you've seen them live, it's just, it's like 8 minutes on this album. It's like 15 minutes live where they just kind of go to town, which, if you've never seen the 77s live, hopefully they will tour again, because they haven't since COVID. They were actually going out on a tour the year COVID happened, and that all got scrapped. Then they haven't been out since. But at least they're recording a new album, which is good. But like, these guys are great musicians. Every iteration of that band have been a collection of really good musicians who just kind of fed off each other, and they could sit there and jam for. They probably could have taken this song 30 minutes if they want, but they're not the Grateful Dead, so they cut it off eventually. But it's a jam song to me. To the structure wise, I've never paid that much attention to the structure because I'm just waiting for them to jam.
Yeah. No, they're definitely a jam, and that's sort of what happens when the lead singer is also a really good musician, or is a musician, because if you're a jam band, but you've got a lead singer who just stands there for 30 minutes while everyone else is rocking out, I mean, it looks awkward. But when you're King's X, and when you're, some of these bands where the singer or singers, also play a musical instrument, then it works. They can just totally be a jam band. So, totally cool. All right. Getting into their least known song, I'm sure, right? No, getting into the lust, the flesh, the eyes, and the pride of life.
Or as Mike Rowe says, the melody of their hit.
Well, I feel like I have to feel something good all of the time. With most of life I cannot deal, but a good feeling I can feel, even though it may not be real. And if a person, place, or a thing can deliver, I will quiver with delight. Will it last me for all my life, or just one more lonely night? The lust, the flesh, the eyes, and the pride of life drain the life right out of me.
Yeah, there's a reason this is probably their biggest hit. It's a pretty much a perfect 80s, 90s alt rock song. I mean, everything from the guitar work to the guitar melodies to the verse to the chorus. It's about obviously it's interesting because it's got kind of 3 verses, and each verse sort of comes through with one's about lust, one's about the eyes, and one's about the pride of life. And this was it's an interesting thing to do. It's cool. It makes sense. And, it's about he digs into the danger of living by your desires, because you end up trading what's real and what matters for sort of the fleeting pleasures. And yeah, dude, it's and the other thing is, I know The Waiting covered this song. At least I've heard The Waiting do this song, but the more I listen to this album, the more I'm like, man, did The Waiting just pretty much copy the 77s? I mean, like these kind of songs that the 77s would do. Like the 77s would do some more bluesy and some, they had more, they had ability to do different genre styles than The Waiting did. But anyway, it's a great tune.
Yeah, it's a fantastic tune. It's funny because recently my pastor at my church did a sermon about the lust, the flesh, the eyes, and the pride of life. And I was just sitting there going like, play the song. But,
you were singing it in your head the whole time.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. But a couple of things to note on this song, a couple of notoriety type items. Number one is the bass and background vocals were performed by Chris Hillman of the Byrds. So
nice.
That was something notable. The second notable thing is the band 311 stole a lyric from this song.
I saw that actually.
If a person, place, or thing can deliver, I will quiver with delight. I don't remember the name of the song that they put it in, but it was like a big hit for 311. And I think that I want to say Mike Rowe kind of like said, whoa, hey, hold up. Clearly, that's not something you just sort of come up with on your own.
Right.
So clearly they were influenced, or they knew the song, or something that they gave like zero credit for it. So
yeah,
so be it. But yeah, I mean, it's a classic song. It always has been. And it's just the messaging of this song is so great because I can still remember, like, I still sing in my head. It's like, they lay it on about how groovy I am and I'm looking grand, and every single word makes me think I'll live forever and ever. No, but tomorrow they probably won't remember what they said.
They won't remember what I said, and then I'll be dead or something like that.
I could be dead.
Yeah, man.
But it's like, if you've lived long enough, you understand that. It's like people will sit there and flatter you, and it's like, it means nothing. It's hollow.
No. And it was definitely not something to desire. It's definitely not something to, that whole, you have a higher sort of goal than these sort of fleeting things. But, and it's because, they're empty in the end. And so, yeah. So speaking of emptiness, I don't know if you're ready to get to the next song.
Yeah, let's go.
So the next song is about emptiness.
What a transition.
Like a segue. Like, I know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing.
Staring out a window pane.
Yeah, man. I love this tune. I really like this tune. I like the bridge, the Fill Me Up. This is one of those songs that a lot of these bands that wouldn't put Jesus in the song, they wouldn't just be kind of outright. What they would do a lot of times is they would just describe the problem. They would just like, yeah, let me just describe the problem for you and like kind of leave it unresolved. But that's an important part of the process, is to describe the problem, right? Hi, my name is Britt and I'm an alcoholic or whatever. That's the initial sort of beginning of change, is to properly sort of talk about the problem. So I love the title, Frames Without Photographs. What a creative title. And I like the lyrics. The lyrics are super creative, and the bridge says, fill me up and all that stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, great song. It's co-written by Steve Griffith, Micro and Steve Griffith. So Steve Griffith had a heavy hand on this, and he gets a special shout out in the acknowledgments. But I think that because out of the original sort of warehouse church in Sacramento, you had Steve Griffith and Vector, you had the 77s, you had Steve Scott. Who am I missing? I know I'm missing someone else, and somebody's going to call me on it. But yeah, so there was Charlie Peacock. Yeah. So like that group of people kind of came out of that group. So they worked together a lot. Steve Griffith, they were kind of all in each other's work, and they still kind of have been throughout the years, some more than others. But it's Steve Griffith is such a great songwriter, and like a lot of his Vector stuff is so good. But yeah, great song, great analogy. I'm big into analogies. If you can ask anybody who works with me, I'm a big analogy guy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great analogy. Something's missing, right? I'm a frame, but I don't have a photograph. Like it's like the substance isn't there. The reason for existing isn't there. Like that's a really powerful metaphor. I totally dig it, man. All right. Next is Don't Say. Never Say Goodbye? Bon Jovi? No, this is different.
No, that's Guardian.
Oh, yeah. I like this little intro.
Of the drums.
So for me, one of the ways that I love a drummer is when I want to play with that drummer as a bass player. Like if I think to myself, man, I would just love to be in a room with that guy and play the bass with him. Like I would just love to sit in the pocket with him and come up with some cool, rhythm section sort of tracks. Like I said, I like the intro. The chorus is super hooky, and it's more of a relationship sort of song, but it's got a great line. Straight out of a bad dream, but the dream came true. Like, that's a great line. I really like that line.
Now you want to die.
It's a great line.
Well, it's like, okay. And if the lyrics that they were getting into as we faded down, it's like, I beg your pardon, but who promised you a garden east of Eden? You're arrogant to presuppose there's bliss. somewhere over the abyss. I mean, it's like that. That's
so
just
great.
Like that.
Yes.
It's just the depth of the lyrics. Now, this song like was co-written by Gene Muscoli, who with Micro and Steve Griffith. But Gene Muscoli, it's like over the years, Micro has really tipped his cap a lot to Gene Muscoli because he wrote a lot of the, like he wrote Ba 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 Ba. Yeah, he wrote that song. He's written a lot of the sort of like the more sort of poppy kind of 80s sounding like really catchy songs that they've done over the years. Never officially part of the band, but I think he was a good writing partner of Mike. But I think that you can sort of sense his hands on this because it really feels like there's a little bit of that sort of timeless 77 sound to it, but there's also some really catchy 80s stuff going on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but they're still doing a lot of different things with it. I mean, like when you really pay attention to the interplay between the guitar, the bass, the drums, like it's not complicated, but it's not super simple. Like there's a lot of interplay going on. It's just good musicianship. And his song, I know we've talked to, like again, this is the third album, but I love Micro's voice because he can go like to that haunting sort of poppy, soft sound, and then he can, do a little louder sort of stuff. And it's just, and he's got a good range, and yeah, it's just good stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. Bottom line, number 8. Speaking of his voice, I like his voice on this song.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting tired of walking up every floor. I'm getting tired of waking up anymore. But there's a hope now and there wasn't before. I got no money and I got no time. I fall down every mountain I try to climb, but peace of heart is better than peace of mind. I got a bottom line, oh yeah. I got a bottom line, oh yeah. I got a bottom line, oh, oh. You take one look at me, you wanna walk.
This is a really good song. I really like this song a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so they do something interesting with this song. So they do this next verse, and then they do a bridge before the second chorus. So they kind of do it a little out of order, but it totally works. And I love the bridge because about how he wants something. He was looking for the impossible. He's looking for something, but it's impossible. And he has the line, "The impossible found me first." That was really good. That's a really nice line. It's good.
Peace of heart is better than peace of mind.
Yeah, man.
Which, I mean, there's so much, especially as you get older. Now, granted, Mike was not like super old at this point. He wasn't young, but he wasn't old. But it's like, especially as we get older into our middle ages, it's like there's so much truth to that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, great. It's a great song.
Yeah, and he wrote it. He wrote this one all by himself, and so mad respect.
Yeah, I'm sure that he's ebbed and flowed through peace of heart and peace of mind over the years, like we all have.
Yeah, man. For sure. All right, last one. I Could Laugh. This one has Jimmy A, the famous Jimmy A, who has been on lots of other sort of stuff, playing the acoustic guitar. It's called I Could Laugh.
This is one of those songs that I have the lyrics to this run through my head occasionally. Like even if I haven't heard the song recently. Mostly about my glorious crown.
No, yeah, I like that one.
Mama don't understand She wants to hold my hand night and day, and she don't like my clothes, and they're wearing thin on her nerves, and she don't like my hair. My glorious crown brings her down, and she won't take me serious. Think I'll join the circus, be a clown, and they'll all laugh. They'll all laugh. They'll all laugh. But it's not funny, no. And I'm restless, wanna bust out of my skin. Got a rocket in my pocket.
All right, you go first.
This song it's like a stream of consciousness in a lot of ways, where it kind of ebbs and flows, and to me the chorus is like the most epic lyric. I could laugh, or they'll all laugh, but it's not funny.
Yeah.
Because we've all been there before. But it's like, some of the things I'm trying to find in the lyric sheet, like how he weaves together thoughts, and it just sort of keeps going. Like, I got no charted course, got no direction. No, they did not give me those in school. And yes, I've been a fool for cool, but no kind of hair, no shoes, no jacket's going to help me to hack it to pieces, man. I've had it. He does that. Some are better than others, but he does it kind of throughout the song, where he just sort of like goes from one thought into another thought. But I love this song. It's a long 8-minute jam, but it's good.
Yeah. Okay. So I like the song. I like the pieces. I like you're saying, the stream of consciousness, and I like some of what he's doing here. I like the lyrics a lot. I love the lyrics a lot. Mm-hmm. And I like the chorus. It might, but in another way, it might be the weakest part of the album, because there's 6 verses. It goes on for 9 minutes. It's almost 9 minutes. Mm-hmm. And this is not the kind of ending song that when it ends, you go, man, I want to listen to this album again. It doesn't, not that it has to be an upbeat song, but it's not one of those songs where it's like, because it drags, you're just waiting for this song to end. And to a certain degree, just because it's so much longer, and on those, artsy people would be like, well, that's, you've just been brainwashed with the formula of the 4-minute song. I was like, I get it. But at the same time, that is true. You get to about 6 or 7 minutes and you're like, there's another verse. And
it just keeps going, man. It just
keeps going. Now, let me just say also that Jimmy A's guitar work on here, if you really listen to what he's doing, is pretty amazing. His acoustic guitar work on here, I think he's doing, he's doing 2 different guitars. I don't know if, there's 2 different acoustic guitars happening. So he's kind of playing off of himself, and he's just kind of riffing. It's basically one chord sort of thing, but he's just riffing off of this chord, and then he switches to the chorus, right? That's the only sort of structure that there is. But so there's a lot of it that I love, but it kind of frustrates me because I get to the end of it and I'm like, oh man, I'm glad that's over. It's finally done. It's not like, it doesn't leave you wanting more, it's not that sort of like, oh yeah, I want to listen to this album again. But anyway, so it's sort of a mixed bag for me personally. But like I said, I love the lyrics. I love the guitar work. And like you said, it's an epic sort of idea. I could laugh, but it's not.
Yeah. Fun. To me, I don't dislike it, because I feel like and I've seen him perform this live a number of times as well, but it's kind of iconic in a lot of ways, just because I don't know that I've ever heard another we'll put air quotes around Christian band do anything like this.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's just, and I don't even know really how to categorize it necessarily, because it's not a jam. It's not like it's closer to, it may be closer to like a poetry slam than anything else, like,
right, yeah.
I mean, but it's like you don't get that in this world very often. And so, but yeah, I mean, I do agree that it almost feels like it should be like a bonus track, maybe, instead of like maybe, or because it doesn't feel like it should be in the middle of an album or the first song on an album. I don't know.
Well, okay,
I do love it though.
Yeah, I will say this about it, because when I was kind of reading through the lyrics today, and I was kind of paying more attention. It harkens back in a sense to the old folk songs. So the old folk songs, like, I'm weird. Like if you've ever listened to old folk music, I'm talking like Irish folk music, there's 10 verses. Like, it's just, there's a lot going on. Like, and you're like, when is this song going to end? And Irish folk music is funny because like each verse gets more awful and tragic than the one before. Johnny's coming home without any legs and arms and a brain or whatever. And so it just gets, and then his wife leaves him when he gets home or something. I mean, it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse.
Poor guy.
But then they always come back to the refrain, some sort of refrain, but this one, like you're saying, the verses aren't as structured. So they're, like you're saying, they're a little more stream of consciousness, and which I kind of like, actually. And because of the way he does it very creatively. But anyway, so in a sense, it harkens back to some of those old folk music where it was, they would just keep adding more story, adding more verses and stuff. So I don't know if he meant it to be like that. I don't know if that's, was it influence at all? But to me, it kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah. I don't know. I wonder too, how much of it was sort of pre-established on paper and in his head before they got in the studio, or did they kind of just like get in there and just sort of, he and Jimmy just went to town for like 15 minutes and they cut it down to this or something. I don't know.
They cut it down to, let's cut it down to 11. No. Well, so, which would be kind of impressive to a certain degree, because what that means is if they did do it a little bit spontaneously in the studio, Jimmy A had to go back and play the second guitar to what he already did. Which,
true,
again, he could do. A good musician can do it. But I just think it's, that would be impressive to me if that's what he did, because,
hey, these are impressive guys. Jimmy A, impressive.
Look, Jimmy A is no slouch, man. I mean, he's on a lot of stuff. I mean, I know he did stuff with Charlie Peacock, like you were talking about, that sort of group. I know he did stuff with, didn't he do stuff with Rich Mullins, or was that, am I thinking?
Yes, he did. He was in the Ragamuffin
band. Was
he
in the Ragamuffin? I thought he was in the Ragamuffin band. So yeah, he was good. Still is, I guess.
Sure.
If he's, I think he's still around. I'm sure
he's actually almost blind, I think.
Is he? That's sad.
Yeah, if he's not completely blind, he's very close to it. He had to redo his art studio to, where he could. He still does stuff, and I think he still gets by. But yeah, he's been losing his sight for a number of years. But anyway, not to leave on a sad note.
Sorry.
But,
man, you're bringing me down.
Sorry, bro. Yeah, so 77.
77.
That's all of the official songs. If you've got like I've got the reissue on Low Fidelity, and it's got, literally 5 additional things. And then there's, this CD version has 8 additional songs on it. Like I said, the 77s have always been great about releasing, just putting everything out there. So
Well, they did the same thing with Sticks and Stones, right? I mean, had all the demos and had all the different versions of stuff. So,
well, this will never happen again. I don't think it will ever happen again for anything. But the Sticks and Stones reissue that they did on Low Fidelity, like blew up. No, it was the 88. Sorry, it was the 88, not Sticks and Stones. So the 88 reissue, like, went so well that if you ordered a vinyl, they just threw this in for an extra cost, like a double vinyl of this album. Plus, that's also, they threw in like the turntable pad,
wow,
and a cup, like a 45, I think, like a 7-inch. There was I wound up with a whole box full of stuff. Now, granted, you pay like $40-$50 for it, but like, again, I don't think anyone will ever be that generous again. That's why it's like I will always support 77s, Low Fidelity. All those guys have always been so good, and they produce great stuff. And
nice.
But anyway, so yeah, 77 self-titled.
77s. Check out the merch table. On the website.
Yeah, it's hopefully you see something you like there. We tried to do some stuff that we feel like our folks would enjoy. So a couple of inside joke type stuff, but then also just some stuff that we feel like people in our sort of sphere would like, things of 40s, 50s, 60s, maybe age people who like this kind of stuff might enjoy. Coffee mugs. We all like coffee or hot chocolate or tea or whatever. And the designs, hopefully people resonate with those. If you have a brilliant idea for a design, let us know.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really cost us much of anything to put stuff together and put it up there and make it available. If we feel like it's something that people will enjoy, then we might consider putting it up there. So
yeah. So just so everybody knows, I might have had a couple ideas, but Steve put a lot of work into it. So big shout out to you, Steve, man. The stuff looks great. Super cool.
And ultimately, we're doing it because, the bottom line of it, I got a bottom line, is just to raise a little bit of money to help defray costs, number one, because nobody pays us to do this. But the other thing, and maybe just as important is just to help build community.
Absolutely.
And to get stuff for people who enjoy the podcast, want to share the love, and also stuff that people think is cool to wear. Because if you don't think it's cool to wear, or you don't think it's cool to drink your coffee out of, or you don't think it's a cool like shower curtain, yes, there are shower curtains. If you don't think that stuff's cool, then you're not going to buy it. And I wouldn't expect you to buy it. And you may look at it and go like, I don't like any of this stuff, and that's fine. But if you do say that, then think to yourself, what would be cool? And let me know.
Yep. Awesome. All right. Peace out, everybody. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thanks for listening. We will see you really soon, and peace out.